Wednesday morning, and thank you so much for joining us. The time now is 7 a.m. It is July 23rd, and you have decided to wake up with us.
Thank you so much for that. Coming up this morning on Sunrise on the Hill, two commanders, what is that? Commander-in-chiefs going head-to-head. That's it. Two commanders-in-chief going head-to-head. Former President Obama's response to being targeted by the Trump administration.
The representative's office vandalized. How Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is responding to this violence.
Say bye-bye to the House. They're going on vacation one day early. What this means for the upcoming government shutdown. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to Sunrise on the Hill. I'm Hillary Howard.
And I'm Cory Smith. This is day one of our new show on DC News Now. It's called Sunrise on the Hill. We are connecting politics and the local community, and we are not doing it alone.
Nope. Coming to broadcast TV for the first time, the Hill's powerhouse reporting is going to fuel Sunrise on the Hill like no one else can. We are so excited to connect with you. Whether you're preparing to start the day, whether you're en route, checking up throughout the day, we are here providing the best analysis and coverage of all things Washington.
So with that very short introduction, let's turn to today's big news, and it is right here on the front cover of The Hill. Came out in print today. Feel the ink on your fingers. Just love it in the morning.
Go old
right?
school.
The House of Representatives is adjourning a day early.
Speaker Mike Johnson says summer recess will start today, and the reason: to avoid voting on a resolution to release documents related to
Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein.
You know the name by now. The chamber was originally supposed to be in session until Thursday. Now they're going to hold their last votes today. That's expected around 3:30, and then it's out the door. They are on break for 5 weeks. Hillary, who doesn't like an early vacation?
Who doesn't like 5 weeks?
Apparently, a lot of representatives on the Hill don't. The Speaker's decision has sparked some major backlash on both sides of the aisle.
So the Hill's Drew Petrimo joins us in studio to break down what that means for the votes and the people here in the district. Drew, a lot to talk about.
Yeah, you know, this has been a big headache for Speaker Johnson. They had bills they wanted to get accomplished this week. There was a crackdown on illegal immigration. They wanted to roll back some environmental regulations. But every time they brought bills up, Democrats would tack on an amendment that would ask for the release of Jeff Epstein information. Of course, that put Republicans in a difficult position. If they voted against the amendment, they would anger their base voters who think that there's a conspiracy and want more information released. But if they voted for it, that would anger President Trump, who wants to move on from this issue and is now calling it a Democratic hoax. Speaker Johnson thought, you know, it's better to just go back to the district, take August recess, and hope things settle down before they get back.
So I'm just looking at the Hill caption. They're calling it a rebellion over the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, a tricky conundrum for the Speaker. Someone who knows a little bit about being the Speaker of the House is Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi. And we have a statement from her about Johnson's decision to say, you know what, let's just break early, let's get on out of here. Here's what she said. For years, Epstein's victims, many of them just children when they were abused, have waited for justice, often in silence and in pain. They deserve answers, they deserve dignity, and they deserve action from their government. Strange to say this, a lot of Republicans agree with Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, and the interesting thing here is that Speaker Johnson usually has President Trump as kind of his muscle to corral members of the base. But in this case, the base of the party and President Trump are on such opposite sides of this issue that it makes it difficult for Johnson to use him to kind of force the more Riley members of the party to fall in line.
So he has really found himself between a rock and a hard place. It's a tough spot for him to be in, Drew, right?
Yeah, definitely. And there are still kind of this intense pressure coming from the base of the party. They're not giving up. You have some of the more conservative members, Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia, saying that this isn't good enough. No more dangling little pieces of meat. We want the whole steak. Online, you have some conservative commentators who say they aren't going to let this go. What Speaker Johnson seems to be counting on is that members will go back to their districts, things will cool off over August, and when they come back in September, they can move on to other issues. But there are already members that are saying that they are going to force a vote on the Epstein documents as soon as they get back from recess.
We got about 15 seconds. Talk about the local impact, what this means for those DC's businesses, bars, restaurants.
Yeah, well, look, they're only missing about 1 day, so it's not a huge impact, but anytime the House leaves, all the staffers that are involved in that, they're going to be missing out that a day early. The Senate will still be in session until next Thursday, so you'll have some action around D.C., but surely the House members leaving will leave a void here in Washington that we all feel when they're gone.
All right, Drew
Including
Petro.
less traffic.
Yeah, that is true. Some positives.
A little
Drew
less.
Petro, thanks so much for joining us. We
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
Drew. President Trump says former President Obama maliciously staged a coup against him. Take a listen.
Barack Hussein Obama led a group of people and they cheated in the elections, and they cheated without question. Obama and a group of thugs cheated on the elections. They cheated violently, viciously on the elections. They're violent people.
Some pretty choice words for the former presidents there.
Yeah, this all stems over the claim that Russia was involved in the 2016 election. The Trump administration says the Obama administration and officials there manipulated intelligence to help Hillary Clinton win the election. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, is pushing this case forward. She's actually sent criminal referrals to the DOJ. They say that Obama officials acted in a, quote, treasonous conspiracy. As you heard there, Trump says Obama is guilty, and there's no two ways about it.
We found absolute, this isn't like evidence, this is like proof, irrefutable proof, that Obama was seditious, that Obama was trying to lead a coup.
Well, here's what former President Obama had to say about that. These bizarre allegations are ridiculous and a weak attempt at distraction. Nothing in the document issued last week undercuts the widely accepted conclusion that Russia worked to influence the 2016 presidential election, but did not successfully manipulate any votes.
Yeah, we should point out here, we want to add some context to this. A bipartisan committee led by now Secretary of State Marco Rubio found and affirmed that, yes, in 2020, Russia tried to interfere with the election.
Right.
The hinge point here is manipulating votes.
Which is what Tulsi Gabbard is
Exactly.
Yes.
Saying that the Obama administration maybe manipulated some of that intelligence. So he's gone after, President Trump has gone after President Obama, former President Biden, James Comey, James Clapper. They could also face some criminal charges from this report after the declassification of files were ordered back in March. We know the DNC and Clinton campaign spent about $1 million investigating Trump ties to Russia. We know some of his own campaign staffers, the Paul Manaforts of the world, actually went to jail. So we'll see what happens with the criminal referrals. Many out there would say this is Trump's DOJ when traditionally the DOJ has been independent in its own thing.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they ultimately do with the criminal referrals.
Well, you know, the United States is not the only country that has dealt with Russian interference. Right. The EU talks about it all the time. You know, Russia has gone far and wide to try and manipulate and enhance its own power. This happens time and again. We've seen it.
Right.
And again.
And they're going to continue to do it. We know that. We know that from intelligence communities across multiple presidents' administrations.
Right. It's no secret. It's not secret. The voting piece was a different piece, and that did not happen.
All right. So here at Sunrise of the Hill, we follow all things politics, and that includes, sadly, the rise in threats against elected leaders. The latest incident involves vandalism at New York Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's Bronx office. The Congresswoman we know has faced death threats.
So this investigation is ongoing, but here's what we've learned. An anti-Israel group is claiming responsibility for the vandalism. We know that because of a post on X that includes a photo of the offenders in action. So when they were finished, the outside of the campaign office, its doorway, and its sidewalk were covered in red paint. And there was a sign on the metal security gate reading, quote, AOC funds genocide in Gaza. Ocasio-Cortez hasn't directly responded to the vandalism or threats, but she did push back on claims about her defense spending votes. AOC was expected at an event in Queens yesterday, but these obvious security concerns prompted her to cancel. So, you know, political violence has always been a feature in American politics, but not quite like this, certainly in the latter part of the 20th century and the early part of the, 21st century.
We have some data that illustrates that point that you make. The Capitol Police have investigated more than 9,000 concerning statements and direct threats against lawmakers, their families, their staff, last year alone. Also, Capitol Police say threats against Congress more than doubled from 2017 to 2024. Hillary, you mentioned AOC hasn't directly responded to this, but her campaign manager has. Let's take a listen.
We have very real security concerns, as always, and we take them very seriously as well. So in cases like this where it's vandalism, it's a little bit different, but we always make sure that we have an environment that's safe and welcoming.
So Capitol Police, directed to work with local law enforcement agencies to coordinate and provide additional protection for members. They have given additional money to lawmakers so they can have more security at their homes, so they could have personal security guards with them. This is what it's come down to. People are so frightened of folks coming out after.
And sadly, there's a laundry list. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro has his house fire bombed. The 2 Minnesota lawmakers who were killed. President Trump, multiple assassination attempts. So sadly, this is just part and parcel of the American political system right now, sadly. For more on this story, our colleague at The Hill, Emily Brooks, has more on the money that the lawmakers are willing to shell out to protect themselves at this point from those violent threats. So go to thehill.com to read that piece of news. All right, if you are headed to The Hill this morning, Shennekia Grimshaw is the one tracking your weather and traffic. Hey, Shennekia.
Morning.
Good morning, Hillary. Good morning, Cory. Yeah, as you're heading out, I'm not tracking any delays. You can see all of your lines are looking good to go. And on the roadways heading out this morning, I'm not seeing a lot of delays, but along the Southeast Southwest Freeway, 695 northbound, that is going to be a bit slow. That's really close to the 3rd Street tunnel. Many folks using that heading into Capitol Hill, which, by the way, Capitol Hill is looking great. You're seeing nothing but green. Mass Avenue, Independence Avenue, I'm talking Constitution Avenue, all of that, not a problem. So that's how we like things. DC 295, of course, you're going to see some slowdowns heading south over the Anacostia Freeway. Here's 295 north and south, right near 495, and you can see roadways pretty much empty. And here's a look at your daily planner. So it's going to feel at about 74 with a mix of sun and clouds at 8 a.m. And then once you get to 10, you're going to see a mix of sun and clouds as well, and it's warming up at 81 degrees, guys.
Looking like a really nice day. Thanks, Shennekia. Coming up this morning on Sunrise, Stephen Colbert responding to his show's cancellation.
Yeah, what the late-night comedian is saying about the major decision from CBS. Plus, more changes are coming to the Kennedy Center. Why the Trump administration wants to rename the famous Opera House after the First Lady. We'll have that story when Sunrise on the Hill returns.
Folks, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Cancel culture has gone too far.
That was Stephen Colbert speaking on the cancellation of The Late Show.
Yeah, nice that he could find a little levity. And what's been a really tough week for Colbert and a lot of folks who enjoy his program. CBS said they had to cancel the late night institution for financial reasons, but a lot of people have said there was so much more to this decision. During a show last week, the late night host called out Paramount for settling a $16 million lawsuit with the Trump administration. He called it a big, fat bribe. In a show on Monday, Colbert, of course, had jokes about the cancellation.
Over the weekend, it sunk in that they're killing off our show. But they made one mistake. They left me alive.
So for just some context, look, we know the landscape for late night is tough right now financially, but Colbert had the highest rated show for that time slot in the second quarter. So you can't say it's because you might say people weren't watching, but the people who were watching him.
Yeah, so people who are very upset with this say, look, you know, best show in late night, highest ratings in late night. You think maybe you can cut some costs? Have you thought about some other way we can do this and keep it around? I have to tell you that on Monday night, Stephen Colbert's very, very good friend, Jon Stewart.
Oh, yeah. Don't use the language he used.
I cannot, or I won't be here tomorrow. He went after CBS. It was almost like he is just baiting them to cancel him. Comedy Central is also owned by Paramount, right? So he went after CBS and Paramount. And then at the end, he stood in front of a gospel choir. And at first, he was very inspirational, and it quickly turned into a parade of expletives.
Yeah.
One after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. So he's just waiting.
So all of the sort of hand-wringing over this decision caught the attention of the FCC chair, Brendan Carr. Here's what he had to say about the Colbert Show being canceled. The partisan left's ritualist wailing and gnashing of teeth over Colbert is quite revealing. They're acting like they're losing a loyal spokesperson that was entitled to an exemption from the laws of economics. Of course, all the late night shows make Trump and the administration the butt of their jokes, but Colbert went maybe farther than some folks would, other than maybe a Jimmy Kimmel. He went after the policy. He went after the president. He did it day after day for laughs, but also to make a point. I don't think you can deny that he was speaking politics from the stage of the Late Show. So the timing, of course, a lot of people are wondering, but again, Paramount and CBS say, look, this is all because of financial reasons. So
Right. Well, and we should say, in case people have forgotten, CBS is trying to merger with Skydance, and they need the government's help on that. So a lot of people are trying to connect those dots.
Exactly. All right. Hey, from the key players here in Washington to the issues that impact all of us, The Hill has been a powerhouse in political reporting in this town for decades. We got a lot of great stories we're working on at thehill.com.
Here's a look at what's currently trending on the site. An FDA panel is recommending the use of hormone therapy to treat menopause. They're asking for the removal of the black box warning label from hormone treatments. Historically, experts have had mixed opinions on hormone therapy, saying treatments can have long-term health risks, including breast cancer.
A federal judge has ordered the reinstatement of a public website that shows how funds are appropriated to federal agencies. That judge said the Trump administration broke federal law when it took it down. The order will go into effect tomorrow morning to give the Trump administration a chance to make an appeal.
The House is moving forward with renaming the Kennedy Center Opera House after Melania Trump. This is just the latest in the Trump administration's overhaul of the center, as the president, as you know, took over as head of the board earlier this year. In the Know columnist Judy Kurtz will have more on renaming on Sunrise at 8.
So you can find that story on thehill.com, but look, right here in print as well.
And there's
the
Judy's
Wednesday
picture.
edition. There's Judy Kurtz's picture. You're in the Know columnist. She has everything you need to know about some of the more entertainment and culturally stories that go on the Hill. But again, Trump taking over the board at the Kennedy Center, a place I know you and I both love dearly, really ruffled some feathers. He's been booed, him and J.D. Vance both, when they showed up to a performance earlier this year. So it has an impact.
Well, what's so interesting, too, is how the president does like to put his name on things, right? And, is this unprecedented for a president currently in office to start to want to name things after himself and, in this case, his wife?
Yeah, just to put a finer point on it, Kennedy Center subscriptions down 36% this year, according to the Washington Post. All right, we got to talk tariffs this morning. There's a new trade deal with the Philippines, but countries like Canada say they're not going to be sticking to the art of the deal, as it were.
Now concerns about President Trump's other tariff threats remain. Sunrises on the Hill. Let me do that again. Sunrise on the Hill's Hannah Brandt, she explains this.
As President Donald Trump welcomed Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to the White House, trade was top of mind.
We're going to talk about trade today.
Ahead of their Oval Office meeting, President Trump planned to impose a 20% tariff on Filipino goods. But he teased that negotiations were going well.
We're very close to finishing a trade deal, big trade deal, actually.
And right after that meeting, the president announced on Truth Social that they did reach a deal, saying the Philippines will open their market to U.S. goods with no tariffs, and the Philippines will pay a 19% tariff.
But the U.S. has not reached trade deals with dozens of other countries that are facing new tariffs starting August 1st. And Democratic lawmakers warn that could have real consequences for American consumers.
The reckless Trump tariffs, which are going to increase costs on everyday Americans by thousands of dollars a year.
President Trump is still threatening hefty tariffs on some of the U.S.'s top trading partners, including a 35% tariff on Canadian goods and 30% tariffs for Mexico and the European Union.
The trade team and the president himself continue to be very engaged with countries around the world when it comes to our trade agreements.
That new tariff deadline is less than 2 weeks away. But the White House says the administration is actively negotiating other trade deals and is promising more announcements soon. In Washington, I'm Hannah Brandt.
Still to come on Sunrise at 7, a superstar reminding the world who she is.
Details on Venus Williams' first win in more than 2 years. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back. Minutes past 7 o'clock, and you are watching Sunrise on the Hill, the place where people meet with politics every single day.
It is 7:23, and here's what's happening around the DMV.
Some local D.C. and Maryland leaders taking aim at a small public park. There's a new bill to rename Francis Newland's Fountain in Chevy Chase, Maryland. Newlands was the founder of the Chevy Chase neighborhood, but lawmakers say his efforts to stop minorities and immigrants from living there are why they want to change the name.
Meantime, leaders in Northern Virginia are working to stop drivers from blocking bus lanes in Arlington. Now, this is currently banned in Virginia, right, to use Metrobus cameras to ticket drivers and find those drivers, but some believe that could actually be the solution, giving buses traffic signal priority. Also has been floated to make them more efficient, so a whole lot of ideas with Metro buses.
The Washington Spirit is hosting a community donation event for the Boys and Girls Club. The team is also donating $50,000 to the Boys and Girls Club, along with another $50,000 to the educational nonprofit DC Scores. Today's event will be held at the FBR Clubhouse in Southeast DC. It starts at 10 a.m. Good for the Washington Spirit.
Yeah.
Ingratiate yourself with the community, get more folks out to the games. The Women's Euro Championship going on right now, so soccer crazy in the summer in that sort of dead period when, you know, baseball season is going on, but football season is over, basketball season is over. Still something to do, and of course, when you give back to the kids, I mean, what's not to love?
I just love that women's sports are finally getting their due.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, really, coming to the fore. It's beautiful. The FBR Clubhouse Rose Garden will be renamed to the Washington Spirit Garden.
They're
so
also donating sports equipment
yeah.
as well, something for the kids. Spirit, pretty good. They're 8-4 this year. Owner Michelle Kang won Philanthropist of the Year, so this is sort of no stranger to the team and its ownership, and we love having them right here in D.C.
Good news story all the way around.
You love to see it. Hey, she still got it, Hillary. Yes, she does.
does.
Tennis superstar Venus Williams is moving on in the D.C. Open.
And she's still breaking records while doing it. Get this. This was the 45-year-old's first singles win since 2023. Yesterday, she took down Peyton Steers in straight sets to move on to the second round of the tournament. She's now the oldest woman to win a WTA Tour level match since 2004. Yay! And it happened right here in the district.
So you're welcome, Miss Williams, for the D.C. luck. You love to see it. Let's go ahead and hear from Venus Williams.
You guys don't know how much work goes into this. Like, it's 9 to 5, except you're running the whole time, lifting weights and just like dying, and then you repeat it the next day.
It's really remarkable what she has done in her career, what she continues to do. And, you know, as women age, people tend to expect less and less and less from us, but boom, there she is bringing it. I love it.
She's maybe a little sibling rivalry still there. She's got a one-up Serena, who, you know, playing while pregnant, playing while after having a baby, winning major tournaments. But so good to see Venus back out there on the court. 5 Wimbledon titles, 2 U.S. Open titles in her career. But she had to battle the heat, too, because it was hot and it was humid out there. Venus said there's something special about D.C. I think it's the heat and the humidity in the summer. So,
it's terrible.
But the tournament rolls on. It's going to be a great time. 7 of the top 10 men in the world are at the D.C. Open. So it's going to be fun.
Very cool. Very fun. Coming up here on Sunrise on the Hill, Virginia could lose some of its education funding.
Our Hayley Milon has the latest on how programs in the DMV are responding to these cuts.
Welcome back, everybody, to your morning pulse on politics. Sunrise on the Hill. The time is 7:29.
Let's take a look at what we're keeping an eye on for you today. Multiple House committees will be holding hearings on how to improve FEMA's disaster response. Of course, this comes after the deadly floods down in Texas, which killed more than 100 people. FEMA Administrator David Richardson is expected to testify today on this issue.
Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is in Idaho to promote his Make America Healthy Again initiative. It's being hosted by Governor Brad Little, who will speak about how Idaho will help advance his plans. The event will be held at the Idaho State Capitol and will start at 11:45 this morning.
Hey, we really appreciate you waking up with us on this first day of Sunrise on the Hill on DC News Now. I'm Cory Smith.
I'm Hillary Howard.
Hundreds of thousands of kids rely on federal-funded after-school programs. We know that. Things for safety after school, food after school, and homework help, of course. Well, last Friday, President Trump reversed his decision to freeze $1 billion in education funding, but some programs still a little concerned.
Right, like Arlington's Aspire program, which depends on other federal resources like AmeriCorps as well. That's where we find Sunrise's Hayley Milon this morning. Hayley, you've spoken with families that are still facing uncertainty over this. What did they have to say about the program and their kids?
Hey, Hillary, Cory, yeah, kids are still going to fall through the cracks this school year. That is the gist of this. Parents say that they send their kids to Aspire here in Arlington free of charge to get ahead on their schoolwork, to get some free meals, discover new interests, all while the parents can go to work and put food on the table. But a third of Aspire's funding has been cut as part of the shrinking of the federal spending. So the future for these students is up in the air.
I learn new stuff. I can make new friends.
Aspire After School Learning is like a second home for 9-year-old Alina in Arlington County.
I go there after school and for the summer.
Her mom tells us the free care is a lifeline. She's able to go to work while Alina joins friends for homework help, meals, and making artwork, her favorite.
Shells that people painted.
The kids are turning that art into action.
Here we have some paintings that other kids made.
Selling it at an Arlington farmer's market.
They came up with the idea of
Paula Finbow, Aspire's CEO, says the program's faithfully served Arlington for 31 years. The only free after-school program in the county.
Without Aspire, our families and our kids literally have nowhere else to go.
In May, the Trump administration's efforts to shrink federal spending pulled about $400 million in AmeriCorps funding grants for programs just like this. A third of Aspire's funding, $350,000, wiped away overnight.
1 out of 3 kids will lose access to our programming.
Finbow says the program's wait list is longer than ever.
I spent maybe about 3 to 5 minutes crying because giving up on these kids is not an option.
Giving up means missed meals, lost mentors, and setbacks in the classroom.
Kids come to us at the beginning of the year testing almost 2 grade levels behind. And by the end of the year, we've had some students improve up to 3 grade levels.
Alina and her friends don't grasp the scope of Aspire's struggles, but she knows what the program means right at home where it matters the most.
She really liked that I was having a lot of fun over here and that I wasn't just at home, watching TV and stuff.
And right now, Aspire serves 155 students across the county, just like Alina, and I'm told that they can do that for just $8,000 per year for each student. Cory.
Hayley, selling artwork, doing bake sales, that's great, but it's not going to make up hundreds of thousands of dollars. What else can be done?
Yeah, not unless they're Michelin chefs, right? So right now they're ramping up their fundraising rather, but at a certain point they're going to have to shrink back the services they're offering their current students and eventually turn some of those students away, all as the school year is getting ramped up soon.
And that's going to have a big impact for those young kids. Hayley, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. All right, let's stay in the Commonwealth because a lot of folks are very excited about this. The pharmaceutical giant AstraZeneca is investing $50 billion with the B dollars here in the state, but the cornerstone is this investment right here in the DMV.
The company is planning a drug substance facility in Virginia. They say it's the largest single manufacturing investment in the world.
President Trump and the administration taking some credit for landing this behemoth of a project. They're linking it to the president's tariffs on pharmaceutical products. Trump called the investment an honor.
Of course, investment, something of this size, means jobs for Virginia. It's really good news for Virginia, which has been a pro-business state for a long time. No matter which governor you look at over the years here, everybody's pro-business, and it brings in a lot of business, but partly because of low taxes.
And that's why, you see this statement from Governor Glenn Youngkin, advanced manufacturing, the heart of Virginia's dynamic economy. He's thrilled AstraZeneca is going to make the Commonwealth its new home. They've also got a facility in Gaithersburg. They're thinking about expanding even more in Maryland. So some good news, especially in the Commonwealth of Virginia, where we know the federal job cuts have really started to have an effect. But the governor says, you know what, there's jobs here. Don't worry, we'll be okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep, Virginia, Maryland, D.C. That's where most of the federal
All
workers
related.
are. We're talking about this all morning, but House Republicans will be ending their week early after Democrats threatened to force a vote on the Jeffrey Epstein files.
Yeah, this fight just continues to split Republicans. Sunrise on the Hill's Vinay Simlot joining us live this morning with more on the ongoing Epstein saga. Vinay, good morning to you.
Hi.
Hillary, Cory, good morning to you. And House Democrats believed they had enough support from some House Republicans to force a vote on getting more of those Epstein files released. and instead the House leadership ended up canceling votes for the week. Meantime, yesterday, when he was asked about it, President Donald Trump tried to pivot the conversation to former President Barack Obama and the 2016 Russia investigation.
People are afraid of getting crossways with the White House, but they need to remember this was a promise.
Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie and several House Republicans teamed up with a Democrat, Ro Khanna, to try and force a vote for the complete release of the Epstein files. But instead of voting on it, House leaders canceled all of the votes.
They're literally adjourning Congress because they don't want to face the voters.
Speaker Mike Johnson says the Trump administration has already promised to do it. President Donald Trump last week directed Attorney General Pam Bondi to release credible information from the grand jury transcripts.
There's no purpose for Congress to push an administration to do something that they're already doing.
The Republican Massey says that's not enough.
There are hundreds of pages of documents. There are plea deals, there are agreements we don't know about.
I don't understand Thomas Massey's motivation. I really don't. Let me just say about Thomas Massey, could you just accept my Southern, bless his heart, okay?
And President Trump turned the attention from the Epstein case to some familiar opponents.
It's sort of a witch hunt. Just a continuation of the witch hunt. The witch hunt that you should be talking about is they caught President Obama. Obama was trying to lead a coup, and it was with Hillary Clinton, with all these other people.
And President Trump was referencing former President Obama's involvement in that investigation into Russia's meddling in the 2016 election. And President Obama's office issued a rare statement responding to the president. The office says, calling the allegations bizarre, ridiculous, and the statement says they're a weak attempt at a distraction.
Hey, Vinay, House Committee and DOJ say that they're going to try to speak with Ghislaine Maxwell. What are they looking for?
Yeah, she's the former girlfriend of Jeffrey Epstein, and you guys know she's serving a 20-year sentence in prison right now. The Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, says that he's anticipating speaking with her in the coming days. And the House Oversight Committee also advanced a resolution to try and subpoena her to answer questions from lawmakers. And Tim Burchett, the Republican from Tennessee, says he wants her there to answer questions because she knows what happened and she's likely the only one still alive who does.
Vinay Simlot live for us this morning. Vinay, we do appreciate it.
Thanks, Vinay.
All right, let's take a live look outside on a beautiful Wednesday morning, if I say so myself. The sun is up over the Washington Monument. We know it's going to be another hot one again.
Yeah, we are, and you can see that haze in the sky too, huh?
Oh, yeah.
So emblematic of the humidity.
Yes,
outside.
it is. Yes, it is. Shennekia Grimshaw joins us again with a look at more than your weather, also your traffic. Hey, Shennekia.
Morning.
Good morning, Cory and Hillary. Oh, yeah, it's going to be a beautiful day, but checking out your metro here, looking good. No problems out there. Not tracking any delays in. On your roadways, same thing. You are seeing in Capitol Hill all green and very quiet. Now, your major roadways surrounding Capitol Hill, that is going to be the trick, and that's the problem. You are seeing some slowdowns along the Southeast-Southwest Freeway, mainly right near Main Avenue. If you're heading over the 14th Street Bridge, that is going to be slow as well. And for your drive times today, if you're heading from Capitol Hill to Dulles, it's going to take you 33 minutes, really no problems. Silver Spring to Capitol Hill, 36 minutes, and then about an hour from Baltimore to Capitol Hill. Now, if you're heading out today for the weather, it's going to be a wonderful Wednesday, really nice out there. And then it's going to be heating up throughout the week, and it's going to be really hot on Friday, so definitely prepare yourself.
Not just really hot, it's going to be disgusting on Friday, Shennekia. Really bad. Thank you.
Say with a smile.
Well, you know, I try to make myself feel better. I don't know.
You got to.
Hey, we hope you're enjoying Sunrise on the Hill, but you might be asking, who are we?
Yeah, Hillary and I wanted to do a little show and tell to give you a better answer of that question. Take a look.
Can you say hello? Say a pacifier. How about that? Hello, DC.
There's just so much culinary diversity here. It just allows you to just explore the layers of flavor in every story that's packed into just a plate of food.
I love to make people happy. I like to make people feel good about themselves.
How long have you guys been here?
Since 1939.
1939. The city just found a way into my heart, and I love rivers.
Because rivers are the center of everything. It's the beginning of trade and commerce and community, where the first communities are built.
I had to paddle and sound
Yeah.
la 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 la.
So you're always going the wrong way. Now, if we reverse our feet, will that
Yes,
reverse
we
the
will.
boat? Yeah, this is a workout. This is a perfect monument, yet we know the man inside lived an imperfect life, and really that's America, right? This strive, this desire to get it right at all times. And I guess that's what we strive to do every morning, is tell people the full story of the politics that govern them and about the people who govern them.
Cory, that was really nice.
Thank you. You know what was not nice? Doing a pedal boat in D.C. in the summer in jeans.
We were so sweaty.
We were like, let's get some more shots. Like, no, let's not, because we're so sweaty.
Thank God I remembered deodorant.
Yes.
That's all I have to say.
Yes. Well, we've got to get to know each other more than once, so there's that.
Coming up on Sunrise at 7, there's new polling showing a connection between President Trump and Zohran Mamdani.
Yeah, the details on the similarities of these two polarizing individuals, plus more changes coming to Southwest Airlines when the airline says it'll get rid of your ability to sit wherever you want on your flight. Stay with us. Sunrise on the Hill returns after this. Welcome back to this inaugural edition of Sunrise on the Hill. It is 7:43 on your Wednesday.
Here's what's happening around the country this morning.
The State Department is investigating after an American citizen was killed in Syria. Osam Soraya is a member of the Druze faith, a religious minority in Syria. He was reportedly killed alongside dozens of other men, including members of his own family. The State Department says Syrian government forces are responsible.
Meantime, judges in New Jersey have decided not to keep interim U.S. Attorney Alina Habba. Habba previously worked as President Trump's personal lawyer during the E. Jean Carroll sex assault suit. The court appointed Desiree Lee Grace to replace her, but DOJ immediately fired her.
Hey, who's responsible for that near miss between a B-52 bomber and a commercial jet over North Dakota Friday? Well, the Air Force is weighing in, and they're blaming air traffic controllers. They claim the airport's tower never told the B-52 crew about the incoming jet. The Air Force also went on to say the flyover was planned and had already been approved by the FAA. All right, seemingly everyone is now weighing in on President Trump's recent battles, picking fights with late-night hosts, football teams.
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith joined Cuomo on NewsNation last night to talk about what he's observed from the president's newest enemies. Here is your replay.
You handsome. What do you
What's
make?
up, my brother?
What do you make of all this?
Good to see you, man.
What matters?
You know, it's sad. It's a sad state of affairs. I mean, we have a president of the United States right now that, once again, what did I tell you before the election what my issue was with him? I said people are entitled to their own politics and policies, political desires, what have you. But he's petty, and the childishness definitely reigns. And because he's petty and he can be vindictive, it's going to be a problem. Because rather than focusing on the issues that we need to be focused on, we're focused on nonsense like this. So there's a tariff war going on. There are immigration issues with the border and beyond. There's an economy that you want to see flourish. There's things to address going on in the streets of America. There's things that's going on between Russia and Ukraine, and still is Israel and the Gaza Strip and what have you. And what are we talking about here? We're talking about the President of the United States going after late night host. We're talking about the President of the United States engaging in a revenge tour. And it's really, really sad. He's not the only guilty one. Because the reality is that no matter how much I love all of those late night hosts, and I've been guest on all of those shows, there's no doubt about that. There was definitely partisanship going on as folks aimed their ire in his direction. And he is certainly in pursuit of retribution. That is clearly the case. And how they decided to retort and respond to what he's had to say, I don't think is going to be helpful in any way, because he's the commander-in-chief at this particular moment in time. He is the one in power. And what Trump does, more so than any commander-in-chief we have ever seen in American history, at least to my limited knowledge, he doubles down. And when he goes for it, he goes for it. And he's not going to stop. The NFL situation with the Redskins, just the latest. That's a story that I covered, and I've talked about this on many, many occasions as a sports guy. In 2014, Donald Trump and I were on the phone, and he called me because he wanted to be an owner for the Buffalo Bills. The price tag was $1.4 billion. According to my sources, he had $1.1 billion at the time, and his exact words were, "If them get in my way and prevent me from being an owner in the NFL, I'm going to get all of them back. I'm going to run for president." Those were his exact words in 2014. And sure enough, he came down those escalators a year later, and the NFL and everybody has felt what they believe to be a nightmarish effect ever since. That is the situation that is going on, and it seems unrelenting at this moment in time.
All right, of course, you can watch Cuomo every night on News Nation. So our top story today is the House skipping town a little bit early. Well, for those folks who are flying Southwest, they will still be able to pick their seat because a lot of folks are waiting and dreading the day when they will get assigned seating.
The airline finally announced they'll start seat assignments January 27th, 2026.
Still have time.
The airline's iconic open seating and 2 free checked bag offerings are coming to a close after more than 50 years. Southwest says the changes are an effort to increase revenue. Tickets for flights with assigned seating are available beginning July 29th. Big change for Southwest customers.
Yeah, it's something that has really, I think, endeared a lot of customers to Southwest, not just the hubs that they operate out of, but the fact that I can just, find whatever seat I want. If there's no middle seat, I'm going to take a window and an aisle, and hopefully nobody comes and sit next to me. The bags thing was the big thing, though, right? Because every other airline made the move to charging for your bag unless you have a different flight status. Southwest said, no, we're not going to do that, but here they are, and it'll be interesting to see whether there is any sort of consumer blowback. And folks say, you know what, I'm not going to fly Southwest anymore if you're going to assign me my seat and charge me my bag.
Maybe, but they probably love Southwest.
They do.
And that love can continue, right? Even though they might be kind of ticked off they don't get to do the same thing, they still love their airline.
If you had to choose one, free bag or choose your own seat, which one are you choosing?
Oh, depends on the length of the flight, Corey.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Give me my free bag, though. Like $25, $50 can buy a lot of whatever I need when I'm getting to the place that I'm going. I tell you this, though, it will get rid of that high-pressure moment of, okay, now it's 24 hours, I need to check in so I can get in that A group and not, C56, and ultimately have to take a middle seat somewhere.
See, I've only flown Southwest once, so I'm a bad person to ask about all this stuff, but I will tell you, you can put a lot in a carry-on.
Yes, you can. Yes, you
so
can.
That's what I rely on.
Yeah, very much so.
All right, a community turning a place of tragedy into a site of healing.
Yeah, we're going to take you there right after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Sunrise on the Hill.
A new park in Northern Virginia is honoring a volunteer firefighter killed in a home explosion last year. Daniel Hamburg with DC News Now was at the site in Sterling.
February 16th, 2024 was a tragic day on Silver Ridge Drive. Sterling volunteer firefighter Trevor Brown lost his life after a home exploded.
He was a really good guy. He was a good firefighter, and he was a good father, a good family man. And it's a good member of the community.
David Short, past chief of the Sterling Volunteer Fire Company, says Brown was more than a firefighter, he was a friend. Short says Monday's guilty verdict of a propane service manager doesn't erase the profound loss, but it's a step.
We were relieved to get a verdict, and it was really important to the healing process.
To keep his memory alive, the community has come together to turn this tragic site of where the house explosion happened into the Firefighter Brown Memorial Park. It's opening on his birthday this Saturday, July 26th. It's a space that has beautiful flowers and benches to sit. The biggest focal point is this boulder.
That's where Trevor was removed from the property, and that's where he lost his life. And so that, to me, is the most important part of the park. It signifies also his strength and his commitment to the community and giving back and being a first responder.
Chris Yort owns the landscaping company that designed and installed the park and is part of the committee that made it happen.
I live about 5 miles away, so I felt the blast that night.
People from near and far feel the need to honor the fallen.
Having the community do this on their own without any prodding from the county or from the organization, but it's just remarkable, and it really feels good to know you got that support from the community.
The importance of having this park here is for the community to come and the neighbors to come and walk the park, sit on a bench, reflect, think about what was here and what's here now, and hopefully it brings better memories than what they're used to.
In Sterling, Daniel Hamburg, DC News Now.
I'm going to tell you something. That is so beautiful for a community to honor a fallen firefighter. And you probably don't know this, but I volunteered with the National Fallen Firefighter Memorial for 25 years.
Oh, wow.
So I would be up there for Memorial Weekend. And I will tell you, when you see family members, people in their department, walking up to accept their rose and a flag that flew over the Capitol, it's impossible not to be moved by, you know, the sacrifice and what people are willing to do for us, for you and for me.
Well said. So this case, it continues. A jury in Loudoun County convicted a propane service manager of involuntary manslaughter for that explosion.
Rising coming up right here on DC News Now at 9 a.m.
Lindsay Granger joining us live from just down the hall on the set of Rising. Good morning, Lindsay. What is in your lens on this Wednesday?
Yeah, as always, we have tons of stuff to talk about this morning. But for me, I'm talking a lot about, if you guys saw the news yesterday, the head of NPR told her entire staff that she is stepping down from her position.
Chatter, no chatter.
Now, this is, it's a couple days ago that we just heard this kind of ruling from the Congress that they want to move forward with cutting funding from NPR and public funding for a lot of stations. And even though federally and nationally this won't really affect things as far as like having NPR around, having the website and access, what it will do is really affect those rural communities and people who are relying on some of this public broadcasting for Amber Alerts, for weather alerts. And so there are people that will be disproportionately affected. And also when you think about COVID, I think that brought about that stark reality that some people just really don't have access to as much information as we all thought and hoped with the use of cell phones. And so I hope that, as we look forward and see what happens with this actual suggestion of cutting the funding and moving forward with this bill, that there is some conversation that keeps some of these stations alive.
All righty, Lindsay, thanks so much. Look forward to seeing you on Rising.
Stick
around. Thanks. Stick around. Of course, Rising comes up after Sunrise on the Hill.
Yeah, and a reminder for you, Rising airs right here on DC News Now, right after us on Sunrise on the Hill, so you can add that to your early morning schedule as well. Okay, before we end this 7 o'clock hour, let's take a look at your traffic and weather with Shennekia Grimshaw. Hey, Shennekia.
Hey guys, so looking at Metro, looking fine. If you're taking the red line, things are smooth right now. If you're heading to Union Station or Capitol South, really clear and looking great. As far as your roadways, you're looking good in Capitol Hill. You're seeing a lot of green. Pennsylvania Avenue, you will see just a bit of a delay there, and the Southwest Freeway, and that is looking slow, heading in both directions. We do have this one crash, and that's along North Capitol, right near Randolph Place, and that is really not slowing things down. But New York Avenue, though, heading inbound, that's slow. Also, Suitland Parkway heading west, right near Stanton Road. There's a lot of traffic here, and that is because there is a crash there, as you can see. Taking a look at your 7-day outlook, you are looking at 88 degrees today, and it's just warming up throughout the rest of the week.
All righty, Shennekia, thanks so much. We look forward to today, but not so much later this week.
No.
Coming up on Sunrise at 8, sitting down with Virginia Representative Subramaniam.
We're getting his take on the latest Epstein controversy in the House, and Democrats plan to win voters back ahead of the 2026 midterms. And we'll speak with NewsNation contributors Mick Mulvaney and Chris Cillizza about the top stories of Donald Trump's first 6 months back in office. Sunrise on the Hill continues right after this.